Another beautiful day to share and spread Wu-Sabat to the world. And it's always a pleasure and an honor because the master teacher has put in the work. The master teacher is the teacher of teachers, the master of masters, and he has bestowed so much knowledge on us. So we always have to say and show a shuk, which is divine love to the master teacher, always. Right? So because of him, we're able to do our best in answering your questions so that you also can get that spell of Leviathan lifted. The 6 ether forces, we're trying to dissipate them and like move back into the living of Wu-Sabat in a 9 ether world. All right. So yeah, this is your opportunity to ask questions. And I see you saying, Grace, freedom for the master teacher. Yeah, that song, the master teacher, freedom for the master teacher, it's available on download from unitedsabingsworldwide.com. The link is going to be put in the chat. You can support by, and play it loud and play it in your area, play it in your car. Let everyone know that we want freedom for the master teacher, Partner Babyanun, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, the one and only. Okay, so last storyteller, Rahubat. I like that. Rahubat always said, Moisar, religion, never. Wu-Sabat, now and forever. Time to free the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, for a better world. 100%. Yeah, we got the link for the intro song. That's our theme song. And help. And every little counts. Okay, Zamal, why always my mind? I hardly struggle with questions nowadays. You always answering my question in all platforms. All I do is to click and download. That's great. That's great, Grace. That means, yeah, honestly, that's such a good question. And let me tell you why I say that. Because when I started on my journey on Wu-Sabat, and I came across Wu-Sabat, like anything I get involved in that I'm passionate about, I started to study, read every scroll I could get my hand on, watch every video I could find on the master teacher. When we used to have cassettes back in the day, I used to be driving and like just had the master playing constantly. So, and I used to go to classes and ask my questions. And what will happen for those that are studious is that you're going to get to a point where you get all your questions answered. And then when you go to classes, well, in my case anyway, right, every question that was being asked, I had the answer in my head. Like literally, like I sit in a class, somebody asks a question, and because I have read it so many times or heard it on the audio by the master teacher, or I've attended classes where other teachers were breaking it down, literally like every question that was coming up at that point, because I'd been so studious and studying that when somebody asked a question in class, I would say the answer in my head. What I'm saying is when you get to that point, you're also ready to teach, because that means if you can answer every question in your head when somebody asks a question, you know, then you got to get it out. You got, in music, musicians say we got to shed, got to give it all out so you can get more, you see, because your cup can be full, but if you don't share and give it out, then you can't put any more in. So the container is filled or full. So I'm not saying we know everything, because no one can claim they've read every single book by the master teacher and listened to every single recording and have watched every video and have been in every single event or situation where he was teaching people privately or whatever. So you're never gonna have it all, but we all have the bits and pieces And this is why we encourage people to come together and study, have study groups. And you will find that you learn more when you're in a collective because everyone has a piece of the puzzle. So yeah, so I'm saying your cup is full. Now you got to shed and then get new stuff and new info so that you can replenish. All right. Rahubat, Stanley, Rahubat, all the newcomers. So the number to call in, if you would like to call in live, just looking for it.
This will make new hair grow where you don't have hair. Don't use.
Sorry, that's an advert. All right, so the number to call in live is, I'm just getting rid of this. Okay, so the number is +44 if you're calling from outside the UK. Oh, there you go. Yeah, +44, then 753 996 3882. Yeah, so you can call in live and ask your question live. It should be on the screen anyway on YouTube if you can see the screen. So yeah, you can just call in live and ask your question. Satak Rahubat. A online Rahubat. Okay. Question by Levi. What's this feeling of clarity from learning? What's this feeling of clarity from learning our Hajj? It's like a joyful, the fog has cleared type of feeling, like seeing the bigger picture cup half full. Yeah, this is, the thing is, most of what we say, right, until you experience it for yourself, it's actually not real to you. And the master has made things so simple. He says, all you have to do is come together in love and unity. And the second thing, learn the language, learn our language. The language, when you compare it to what you're speaking right now, that we call Inglesi or English from Anglo-Saxon, the tones are different. The language is designed, our language, Misbatia, Nuwapu, Sabaik, is designed to heal you, right? Because of the tones and the vibrations that it has. It recalibrates you. So it's a song, it's a beautiful song. This is why even like the Nation of Islam were teaching that, by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was teaching that after him there will be a new song. Yeah, and he termed it New Arabic because obviously he was familiar with Arabic, even though he wasn't a linguist and wasn't proficient in Arabic. He said there will be a new Arabic. Phonetically, you can hear it, Nuwapic, New Arabic, Nuwapic. Right, so that language is designed by the elders. It's a living language. It evolves, because that's another question a lot of people keep asking. Why do certain words change, or why does the language keep changing? Well, it's changing because it's alive. You know, anything that is alive changes. One thing that is constant, so it will evolve. And there is also a intentional strategy behind that, because when you learn a new word, that word replaces the previous word, and you don't really remember the English, so you don't go back to the English, you go back to the previous word. So you're getting healed with the language, and it really fixes us. A lot of us are not vibrating on the right frequencies, so the language is in alignment with our tones of FAC. So when you're getting healed, you're getting recalibrated, and it's a beautiful song. So yeah, you're gonna feel the changes in your being. Yeah, it makes things clear. As you say, you get that clarity, and you start to see the bigger picture, because there are certain tones and vibrations in, the English language. It was designed to be the way it is. Like, we say it all the time. Like when you say words like hello, you're saying hell is low. When you say understand, it means you're standing under. When you say good morning, you don't know what you're saying. Your morning it's like you're mourning. It's a lot of it is technology, because even though it's spelt different ways, the sound is the same. So why are you mourning, right? You're moaning when you're mourning when someone is crossed over. Why do you say have a good week when weak is to be not strong? And we can go on and on. Like there are so many words and sentences that you put together not realizing what you're actually saying. You're spelling and you're casting spells on yourself every single day when you speak using those tones. So yeah, you're really like breaking that spell from yourself as well. Okay, here we go. Which race was Yaqub? We got a live caller, so I'm gonna pause and then come back to that question. Hang in there, Grace. Rahubat caller, what's your name, where you're calling from, and what's your question, please?
My name is Kerith Muir from Jamaica.
Yeah, Rahubat Zamal.
Yeah, Rahubat. So my question is, the Negroid beings that are watching over us, do they have the complete power to protect us and repel reptilian beings? And do they have the power to completely repel all other negative extraterrestrial forces?
Okay, one of the things we encourage people to do is to study and read, because the question has to be clear as possible. When you say the Negroid beings that are watching over us, we don't really refer to them as Negroid beings. We're talking about elders in terms of the Natharu, who are over our race, and they're not only over our race, they're over the multiverse and the cosmos. And again, when you say reptilian, there are different types and different species of reptilian. We are also tied into what you're calling reptilians, if you break down what we do as a people. And the reason we behave and act in certain ways is because we have the genes of reptilians within us as well, and we have genes of the shaggies within us. That's why when you have hair is a product of mixing with shaggy beans and mixing with like the Duanis and so forth. So every person has the different natures within them, right? The three major ones, which is the grays. If you see how you are as a baby in the womb, you are going through the process of evolving from a reptile being in a sack of water, or a reptilian being. You're breathing in water, and you're also looking, your skin suit is gray because you're generally in water. If you've ever been in, as a Nagaru, if you've been in water for sustained periods, when you look at your skin, you get that grayish type of look. So you are like a gray. Your head is bigger than the rest of your body. Your eyes are bigger, right? And then you go through that process and come onto land as a mammal. But then you also have the Natharu's DNA or genes within you. So they do, in terms of, they're the original proper guardians of the galaxies and going on to the universe. So yeah, but it has to be very specific as to which person we're talking about, which extraterrestrial beings we're talking about, and yeah, what exactly are you talking about when you say protection? Because we have the master teacher Panda Babyanun, who is one of those beings that we're talking about, and the protection is what he's given us by way of the culture. But you can't know the culture if you don't study and read the scrolls and actually not just read, comprehend what you're reading, and then put it into practice or put it into action or implementation. So if you're not reading, then you're not going to be able to really fully understand what he's teaching. You follow?
Yes.
So does that answer?
Okay, so specifically, I was talking about, like, I was asking about the elders. Do they have the power to protect us from negative reptilians?
Right. But what I'm saying is, you have the power. They give you the power to do that. But you have to learn and put it into practice. This is not a religion where people just think someone or some being is just going to come and do everything for them. So they give you the solution. It's just like, if you ever heard the phrase, if you feed a man, you only feed them for one day. But if you teach them how to fish, they can feed themselves forever. So you're being given all the tools that you need to protect yourself. And if you don't put that into practice, if you're not doing the work, then you're not going to be protected. So there's a mentality we have of a savior or someone else that's going to do the work. And this is really fed by way of religion, where you just think that you're saved, right? Even those terms you use, saved, you're saved. And you say that salvation, the word salvation ties into being saved and comes from really being from the word Slavic or the Slavics, which is dealing with someone saving you. That's why people say that you will be what? Set free, even though it doesn't say that. It said the truth shall make you free, meaning that if you're being set free, you're already acknowledging and accepting that you're in bondage. But if you make yourself free by applying the knowledge that's been given you, because you can't say, we love to say we are gods or goddesses. If you're God, then you should have the tools to do for yourself, to do for self. Yeah. So the helping hand you're really looking for is at the end of your own arm. But people feel like somebody else should just save them. And the question is, save you from what? Or protect you from what? What do you need protecting from? Most people need protection from themselves, to be honest. But we do it together. Go ahead.
Something I've been looking at, though, it's like, I've heard that the reptilians, they've conquered other species from different planets out there. So
that's true.
So what I'm thinking is that, even though you say we're given the knowledge to protect ourselves, is it that easy to just repel them when other beings couldn't repel them that easily? Like, I heard that the Lyrians, many of them were wiped out by reptilians, and they did put up a fight, but they still couldn't protect themselves completely.
Right. But that's what I'm saying, that if you are, okay, remember, we say this all the time, that the person that has defeated them before in the past, because when you read that book in the books of Revelation, when it talks about Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels, if you read the whole of that chapter, right, when you say dragon, you're talking about the reptilians. The dragon is the draconians, or the dragonians from the Draco constellation. So the person that was able to defeat them was Michael and his angels. And that's because Michael is referred to as the warring angel. And he's the one that taught his angels how to fight together to defeat the draconians or the reptilians. So that same Michael, right, because it tells you that they were cast out down here to the planet Earth. They were not to be in heaven anymore, right? So he came down here and he's been using the same tactics in the last 6,000 years to, as you say, rule and control and subjugate people by his six ether forces. When you're saying Leviathan, the Levites, they talk about the Levites in the Bible, that's the law. Levi means law, because that's dealing with the Levitical law. So the law Athan, or the law of sin. It's the law of sin that is used, right, to make people do things in six ether forces. So when you say sin, the person you're talking about is referred to in many different languages. In the, Sumerian, or you say Nana, or Nana sin, or sin. That's where the word sin comes from. When people are reading the Bible, they say sin lies at the door, right? When you look at the Cain and Abel story, it was due to the fact that the ritual that took place, the being that wanted meat sacrifices, they like blood, meat, and flesh, and I should stop saying meat. They like flesh and blood. So this is where that you're being initiated into the law of sin, and the system that we're in right now, the code of Hammurabi, which is again one of the codes that ties into the laws of sin, and the religion is a flavor of this, right? This is why the Bible and the books of, like the Quran, etc., if you look at them carefully, the deities over them, they're telling you to make flesh and blood sacrifices, sprinkle blood all over the altar. And then you look at the people that are ruling the world, they are behaving and doing the things that their deities ask of them, and they worship and what, they talk about Moloch, and they do all these things that are now being exposed worldwide. So I'm saying to you, the same Michael is here on the planet Earth, as in the incarnation, right? And he's the one that can defeat these reptilians and defeat the dragon, or the draconians, the reptilians, and their minions that also all work for them from the top down. But if you don't know, and you're not in Michael's army or angels, then you're not going to be taught how to protect yourself. And when you learn and put the knowledge and the culture into practice, your whole energy field, your aura and everything, the way you think, you're going to rise to a level that, like you say, you repel. This is why we teach about the importance of your thoughts, the language you use, the food you eat, the people you hang around with, the things that you do. All of this has an effect on you as a being. So you have to learn what you need to do to arm yourself. Because when you say guard yourself, you hear the word God, guard. So you have to be taught. That's why we're saying to you that if you're doing what you're supposed to do, then you're going to be under the protection. But if you're not, you're putting yourself outside of the protection. Even so much so that the book of Revelations, I know we quote these books because for people in religion, they may not know it, but subliminally, when people ask questions like, who's going to protect us? Who's going to save us? What's going to happen at the end? All of these things is really coming from a religious mindset. And it tells you have to be counted inside the tabernacle of the Most High, or the enclosure. Yeah? The tabernacle is an enclosure of these beings, of these people that have made themselves and cleaned themselves, right? They say, and they're ready for the wedding. And they use the word like white and purity, which is dealing with, someone that has done the work on themselves to clean themselves inside out, physically, mentally, spiritually, and so forth. And then that's how you get to be protected, because you cannot be calling somebody, let's say, a devil, and then you act and behave like a devil, because you've just transformed yourself and become the devil yourself. That's why all these lower, vibrations and like what we call the mental diseases, hate, racism, lust, all these things, we've got to learn how to get, eradicate them to a certain degree and suppress them so that you can bring out your godly side. Because as I was saying, the natures you have, your reptilian nature, you have a reptilian brain, you have certain aspects of you that are reptilian. And these reptilians that are running the place and bringing about chaos, they appeal to that side of your nature by the things that are promoted, by the vibrations that are emitted on the planet, the fear, the stresses, the worries, the things that don't give you that celestial mindset or to be in bliss. We say hatat.
I heard that the reptilians, they feed off us when we are in a state of fear. So when we're in
Right.
a high vibratory state of love, they don't exist on that level. So they can't mess with us when we vibrate in love.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And that's why you hear people say love is the answer to everything. But they also then desecrate that by giving you a different version of love, which is when you spell it backwards, phonetically again, the language, you get evil. Yeah? And the love we're talking about is divine love, which is unconditional ashuk. And it's not easy because ashuk is something that, regardless of the situation, you can still be able to unite and work with people. That's to recalibrate yourself. It's like, even when you look at, when we're talking about, like, you know, the master teacher, when he was explaining about being like Enki, or Murdoch, sorry, the son of Enki, he had to change his nature to go against the part of him that was more of the reptilian, because, you know, you're dealing with the Anu's draconian wife, you see, Id. So I'm saying he had to learn to balance and have the both natures to be able to deal with us. And that's because we have that nature of 180 degrees of disagreeable and 180 degrees of agreeable. But the disagreeable side of you is where the society that feeds the reptilian nature of you, that's why meat is promoted, you know, violence and chaos and, as you say, fear and worry and all these things, because they generate that negativity, that negative energy that they feed off. And as you said yourself, if you don't vibrate on those frequencies, then you're of no use to them. You're starving them off of that energy. And so the planet globally, like, if the people on the planet have the right information, the right knowledge, they're gonna, like you say, change their mindset. They're gonna raise their vibration. They're gonna think differently. They're gonna, in fact, go to a state of thinking which is higher than thinking, known as reasoning, or sound right reasoning, which you're using your mind at a higher level, connecting to these beings that are vibrating on a higher level. So you know what to do, what's right to do, not just based on yourself, but by humanity, by everyone. And it doesn't matter who you are, if you're vibrating on that level, then you're gonna come together, because it's about the resonance. You're on the same resonant frequency. You follow?
Yeah. Yes, I have one more question.
Go for it.
So, simply, I just want to know, the elders, they rule, they rule over many different planets, right?
Tua, correct.
Okay.
But it's a big
So,
job, and they need, on different levels, you need help. It's like, even though you might have, let's say, the highest position being a president or prime minister or a king or emperor or whatever, they always have, or CEO, they always have other people that govern different aspects, like a, you know, like a cabinet, or, you know what I mean, like people who work with them to basically deal with different situations, because one person can't do everything by themselves. So this is why I keep saying Michael and his angels, or the dragon and his angels. The dragon can only win if he also has recruits, or he's recruiting people to be on his side to continue pushing his agenda. You see? And then there's a balance. If you let the side that's disagreeable tip the scales, it's going to be chaos. But if the others are tipping it back in the agreeable way and then overtaking the disagreeable, then it's going to be they're going to lose out. And then when they lose, they have to flee, and they have to go somewhere else to start. That's what they keep doing. They keep fleeing and going to different planets or different star systems if they're able to.
So the other worlds that the elders rule over, is it similar to our worlds, like the structure where they are sure they have their own government and they'll probably have their own group of celebrities in that world and such?
No, it's not like that at all. It's their world is different, completely different to ours, because we don't actually know for sure, because unless you've gone there, you ain't gonna know. But don't try and think of, like, try and be in their mind. Like, it's like when you speak to people in religion and you start asking them questions that, let's say, they don't have the answers for, they start speaking on behalf of God or Allah. They start telling you, well, he must mean this, or maybe it was that, or maybe it was this. It's like, rather than say, I don't know, or say, yeah, you know what actually makes sense. That's not how somebody on that level would think. You see, they will make excuses. So I'm saying we can't speak and think for the Natharu like that, because they're so advanced and on such a high level that you never know how the way they would do things or how they do things, and you think, well, that doesn't make sense to you, because you're thinking on a level of, of being on a much lower level or vibration. But the best way you're going to learn about them is through one of them who is here with us, Partner Babyanun. All right?
Yes. Oh, wait. So I want to know, do do they know the secret to immortality?
Absolutely. We're being taught that. This is why in ancient times, people would go to, like, our ancestors in ancient Tamaray, which people call it Kemet in Egypt, and dig their bodies and crush the bones and drink them, because they were looking for what they call the elixir of life, all right? Which we know as the mafkhuzet. Yeah, they call it liquid gold, atomic. There's so many words for it now. People are trying to sell it online, which is a fake one, because people were looking for the secrets of what you're calling, eternal life. But there are secrets, and that is how you were able to transform yourself, because when you drank it, it was able to work with your pineal gland and the pituitary gland, and with your higher senses when you received your barythry gland reactivated, you see. So yeah, these are all the secrets that you're being taught, and not everyone is going to receive it, because you have to be worthy. But yeah, we have a scroll called the Mafkuzet Elixir of Life. We can post it in the chat. Are you in our Telegram group? Because we always ask people to join the Telegram group, because we can post books and links.
I'm in the Telegram group.
Yeah, so we'll post it in there as well. But yeah, definitely, you have to study and read the scrolls.
Okay, and I just want to know as well. So we all have thing in us that we refer to as our nature. And can that be altered, like they know how to alter our mind and our spirit and change the kind of nature that we have?
You have that ability. Remember, the word nature, yeah, is nature, as in when you look at what you do, is it natural nature, or is it synthetic, or is it fake? Is it unnatural? Is it artificial? So this is why I keep saying to you that the draconians, reptilians, and the beings that have this agenda, they push a lot of unnatural nature from the foods, whether it's GMO foods, to just everything's becoming synthetic and unnatural. And when that's happening, your frequency is changed. You drop from being in tune with natural nature. And natural nature is the most powerful thing, because if you come from nature, you can live with nature in harmony, unless you're destroying nature, which is going to have an adverse effect. So when we start doing things like cutting down the trees, burning down, the forest, and poisoning the water, the animals, unaliving the animals, spilling a lot of blood in wars, all of these things are against natural nature. Natural nature is healthy. So the word nature relates to the beings that we're talking about. Many know as Natiru in ancient Egypt, but that's a rendition or pronunciation failure of the word Natharu. The Natharu are the overseers that we're talking about. So they give us natural nature to live by natural nature, because we're from nature and we return back to nature. But when you start to create things that are unnatural, they're not going to work with you. It's like, if you're meant to eat food that is healthy because it's natural and it comes from the soil and nature, but then I make something up in a laboratory that doesn't have the same DNA and the same energy and frequencies that you need, of course it's going to damage you. It's like you can take natural herbs, or you can take the synthetic makeup that takes a bit of the natural herb and then adds other things that are unnatural, and it's not going to work as well as the natural version, you see. So then you become sick, and then you have to go back and take the natural remedies to heal yourself. But I think
I understand that part, but what I want to know as well is that if I talk about it in terms of like the spirit, can a person's spirit be changed in the way that if a person wanted to have a childlike nature again, you could change their spirit to be like that again, so they feel more playful and more open again. Is that possible?
yes, this is what Wu-Sabat is here to do, because it's about transforming and changing your nature. Because once you start recognizing the things you're doing that is making you act and behave in a particular way, and then you stop doing those things. So, for example, some people don't realize, right? If they're eating flesh, they're not only taking in the what they might get a little bit of the nutrients from it, but they're taking in the spirit, if the blood is in the spirit. So you're taking in these spirits, and if you don't, not just with food, but even when you exchange bodily fluids with other people, and you're taking in their genetics and their DNA. So what happens is that these spirit, they're within you, and whatever they went through, the trauma and whatever they've gone through, you're not ingesting that. And if you don't cleanse yourself and rid yourself of these things, it builds up over time. So you might find that most aggression, or it comes from the reptilian nature of if you eat a lot of, like we say, flesh and blood. So somebody may be angry all the time and they change their diet and they just go plant-based, or they just stop eating those things. They find that they get less angry. You're not as aggressive anymore. That's just one simple example. But when you add up all the things that people are doing, maybe ignorantly, when you start to do, like for example, you might be drinking alcohol, a lot of alcohol, or more than you should, smoking, which is going to affect your lungs and your breathing. You're not breathing natural air, right? All of these things, imagine you eradicate the alcohol, you eradicate all those, like the toxins that you've been putting into your body from the unnatural food. You eliminate like staying up late when you're in clubs and so on. There's so many things. The music you listen to, you change it to more spiritual or more calm, or harmonious music. You're gonna transform. People gonna you're not the same as you used to be anymore, because you see people that are calmer, more relaxed, more able to reason, get along with people, because they've transformed themselves. So yes, you can do that by way of Wu-Sabat, but you have to put in the work. You have to put in the work.
Okay.
To what?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's move on to the next question.
Voice note.
Okay, let's do that.
Rahubat.
Rahubat.
Good evening. I wanted to understand because I understand how you said the 24 elders they seeded the planet, and then how we as humanoids came about from that seeding of planet. I understand that, but I wanted to find out where do they themselves come from?
Okay.
How did they come about? Who gave birth to them? I just want to understand where themselves do they actually come from?
Okay. Tawat. So this is another thing that the limitations of the books and religion, etc., makes people think like there was a beginning. There has to be a beginning. And when you say beginning or ending, or like some people will say the alpha and omega, like it's a mind job, because you have to think that's based on time. And the time that you think exists is a construct. Because how can you have an ending, as in the beginning and the ending, or the omega or the alpha? Because you have to know one before you can have the other. So when we start to look at the concept of time, time has been designed and put in place based on the fact that our planet is a project that was set up by these elders. It's almost like if you had, imagine you had a fish tank or an aquarium, and you design it and put everything in there and then let it go in motion. Everything that those fishes know about is based on that tank. Yeah. So when we look at the planet Earth, it's like that, where we are in several atmospheres, right? Which we call like the air we breathe. We got the land, and the planet itself was designed to grow to a certain size, which is 24 points, and put where it was put in terms of the relationship to the sun. So it's 3 planets away from the sun, right? So this is why we call it what's the term? Zone 3, right? So zone 3, then if you count from the other side, from away from the sun, you count, and we're number 6. So that becomes sector 6, and then project 24. And it was put in that particular orbit, and then it starts to rotate around the sun. This is all by design of intelligent beings who we're calling the overseers, right? And every planet is designed and put there in our solar system, and then they're set in motion. So we go, when the planet rotates around the sun one time, we call that a year. We fluctuate and say 365 days. But then when you count from days and go on to months and years, you get to a point where if it's done the cycle 24,000 times, we say that's an equinox. This is how we label time. So we label time from seconds. We say seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years, and then that's how we call that construct time. But the distance from another planet that is, let's say, not 3 from the sun, let's say it was 6 away from the sun, a day or the time it takes for that planet to rotate around the sun once is going to be double our time. You see, I'm saying all this to say that we've been given a concept of there was a beginning, and they say this character called God, Allah, he was the one that he said he created. That's what they say, God created. In the beginning, go back to Genesis, right? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So in our minds, we just automatically look at it like there was a beginning, and we don't ask normally the question like, where did God come from? Because if he was there, that's not the beginning of everything then, because you're saying in the beginning, English semantics is different from at the beginning. If you use proper grammar, you're not going to say God was in the beginning, because to be in something means already there and it already exists. So we say created, but when you really study the word created, it's talking about growing. And so you have to have things already in existence for them to grow. And that's what's happened with this project. So when you're saying, where did the Natharu come from? Because our minds are confined, and we don't even, most of the time, we don't even think about other beings outside of our own planet, or beings that are in our planet that predate us, or humans or humanoids, right? So I'm saying that these beings come from a time zone that is outside of our ability to comprehend, because when you come outside of our planet, you're not judged by the time belt of this planet. So you have to go back to say, like, go beyond creation and go beyond God, and go beyond our solar system and go beyond our galaxy and go beyond our universe, because there are multiple verses, and life in different let's say universes or galaxies, different star systems, began based on their evolution naturally. You see, so the Natharu are beings that evolved from other star systems, because this universe is just a one, which people talk about it coming from a big bang. But that was in the old days when they didn't have so much information as we have now, where now they know they can use equipment like the James Webb telescope. Before that, they used to use the Hubble telescope to look back in time. Because this is what we're saying. When you're saying time, in order to say, go back to the beginning, I see the call, you have to go back and beyond. So to round off, they come from different time zones, which the master teaches us in the holy tablets and other books. All right, we have another caller, right back caller. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's your question, please? Sorry, you're a bit choppy. Your line is a bit choppy. Can you, we can't hear you.
Okay.
Nah, the line's really bad. Do you want to call back, try again, or maybe you have to move to a better reception area. Nah, the line's terrible. Sorry. Try again. In the meantime, I'm just going to take a moment to say that look out for our Friendship Day, right? That's an event which replaces, like, if you haven't seen our video on Valentine's Day already, go and watch that, because we always counteract the 6 ether, like the brother was asking me before, with the 9 ether, or the positive vibration. So our Friendship Day on the 14th of February has a number of tickets. Is live now, first come first serve. So we have different categories of tickets. We're going to stream it worldwide, so you can also participate. It's only going to be for those who get the online ticket, okay, so that you can log in. You'll be given the link and you can see all the activities and feel like you're right here with us from wherever you are in the world. So tickets on sale right now. The first 15 people online that get their tickets, they're going to get prizes. They're going to get some scrolls. They're going to get, you know, something for being the early bird. So you have your opportunity. Let's see by the end of the live, the first 15 there will be contacted, and yeah, you will get your prize. And we look forward to you joining us at the event, which is going to be full of lots of things to do. I'm going to show you. You're probably going to see the electronic flyer, and you would have seen it online as well. You can scan the code. There's going to be entertainment, holistic vendors, gifts, giveaways, refreshments, cultural dancing. You meet other single people, couples. I think there's a 3-course meal. Yeah, music. The free scroll, as I said, for the first 15 people. When you see this on your social media, scan the QR code so you can get all the details. And it's going to be a special class as well, because we normally have our class on the same day at the same time. So those who are online will get access to that special class. If you're just a regular that comes to class and haven't got your ticket, unfortunately, you won't be able to join. Yeah, so scan that QR code to get more information and go to Eventbrite, get your early bird ticket so you can get your prize. All right. And yeah, you can ask us any questions, but obviously this is what we're saying about replacing 6 ether forces with 9 ether forces, and bringing about that positive vibe for the whole family. Yeah, 18 plus, couples, singles. Yeah, you're all welcome. All right.
Robots again.
Oh, Raobat.
I'm sending a note from Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. I wanted to know, is fish considered flesh that you should not eat?
It's,
And if it is, why?
yes, it is. Because it has parents. The master teacher has taught us really not to eat anything with parents. So yes, fish would be considered that. We are aware that people are in transition stages when you're weaning yourself off of things, because sometimes stopping something drastically or suddenly can also have a negative impact. So weaning yourself off, not, you know, to say people who wish to just, as they call it, go cold turkey, just stop, that can be also done. Some people are able to do that. But yeah, so people generally will stop gradually, like they will stop eating red meat and then go on to white meat. Not that that's really any better, to be honest, because people will say they don't eat, say, for example, pork, and then they will eat chicken. But if you ask them why, the reasoning would tell you that it actually doesn't make sense, because a chicken's a scavenger as well, and it eats everything and anything. So just because you stop because remember the pig is also the same. It was really designed to be an ancient hoover made from a cat, rat, and a dog. And you can check this out about the DNA. So, yeah, so people would go to the white meat, like the fish and the chicken, and then eventually they will stop that completely and maybe just go plant-based. And then eventually they can actually just like be vegans. It's a much healthier option. Yeah, people are at different stages in their development in terms of diet, because diet is one of those things that, you know, people put things into their mouth every single day. You need to, you know, you need to sustain yourself. So yeah, but yeah, to answer your question more directly, yes, fish or anything with parents. Now I know this because people are going to say, but plants have parents, and that is true. The difference is the designers designed that for you to consume. They didn't design and put animals here for you to consume. And most of the time, people will use their moral compass and say, well, the Bible says you should eat meat. But when you read that quote, it doesn't say that. It says you have been provided with herbs and all the natural fruits and for you to use for meat. Because, you know, we term the name meat by unaliving animals and calling it meat. They're not called meat. They're called whatever name, a sheep, you know, what else do people eat? Lamb, chicken, well, they're not called lamb, are they? They're called sheep. Goat, yeah, goats, pigs, yeah, cow. But you unalive it, cut it up and call it meat. So that's not even a justification. But the herbs were designed for your being. And so plant-based and plants and herbs and fruits, that's what we're meant to eat. So, and it brings out that reptilian aggression nature as well. So, yeah, don't misinterpret the fact that you shouldn't have things with parents to say that plants have parents, but there were parents in that sense that are designed for you to consume for your sustenance. All right. Any other? Okay, let's keep going. I hope the brother that was calling is going to try to call back. Okay, we've got so many people who have joined us. Prophecy Rahubat, Nebu Rahubat, Yesham Malaki arose. Peace, love, and blessings forever, Rahubat. SMKOF, Rahubat. Rhonda, Rahubat. Jovan, Rahubat. Who else? Gloria, Rahubat. Jojo, Rahubat. Levi, Rahubat. Okay, I'm just going to see if there's any questions. Okay, we covered those already. Yeah, but okay, cool. Okay, someone is asking, I think it's Levi, is that whole shooting stars and goddesses choosing the star, and when someone makes the transition, they're headed back to the stars, like on the movie Brother Bear? I haven't seen the movie Brother Bear, and the question is not clear. Shooting stars and goddesses. I mean, if you look at it like, if you really study what stars are, or what like suns are, they're stars, and stars are a ball of gas or energy. When people try and say that we go back to the stars in the sense of we can go back to different star systems, but in the sense of going back to the stars, we're really talking about the energetic part of you, because remember that we came from the etheric or ether anyway. So when you break down what ether is the combination of all existing conscious and conscience gases. So before they evolved into stars, that's what they were, right? They were gases, etheric gases. So we came from those etheric forces. And we as Nagaru, melaninite children, we come from the sun as sun children, sun people, sun beings. That's why the melanin is the protection from the sun. It can withstand extreme temperatures. You see, so we have what we call sun heat genes. So yes, remember I said the star is a sun and the sun is a star. So in that sense, when we go back to that ether, we are going back, as you say here, as going back to the stars. So yeah, it makes sense when you break it down like that. But some people, they make it sound like when you see a shooting star or you see a star, that's someone or some person. Yes, if you break it down properly, like beings going back to that energy or that ether, then yes, because you're dealing with balls of gases, hydrogen and helium, that are constantly converting and burning to produce the heat. That's why I say we grew with the sun, natural creation. That's why, going back to the question about natural nature, if you're able to work with nature, then you're from nature. But if nature's harming you, like if the sun harms you, then that tells you something, like you're hybrid or you're not really from the natural creation. Yeah, so this is why the lack of melanin has an adverse effect on people that can't deal with natural nature, as in way of the sun. All right, so that's for you, Levi. I'll have to watch that movie though, Brother Bear. I've not seen it.
Someone's got a question that can go with that.
Okay.
They want to know:
Tua.
are some stars portals?
Yes, absolutely. So this is a question some people ask, like, if the sun is very hot, right? When we get it here, when it travels from 91 to 93 million miles away, how does it feel hot to us here? But then when you go into space, that space is cold. You would think that the closer you will get into the sun, that it will be hotter. But there are, like you say, like if you look at the let's take the Orion star constellation. You know what people call the belt of Orion, which are 3 suns, but you can go through it to go to the other side, so we have been taught that yes, you can go through the middle star, yeah, and be able to go through, but there is a way you travel through it and go through it. And this is part of what we were saying before, that you have to be in different types of crafts and have your body configured to be able to do that. And this is where that math gazette we were talking about, that people were calling the elixir of life, monatomic gold, liquid gold. That's what you need as a part of your transformation, to be able to be in a craft that uses methods which are contraction, yeah, and expansion, to put that craft in the bubble by manipulating space-time to be able to travel faster than the speed of light. And you have to be prepared to be able to go through those portals, you see. So yes, that's correct. Any other questions? Or okay, let me go back to the chat. Okay, Roderick, I see that. Thanks for letting us know. And I do have to let me address something, because people see me, but I'm not the one that deals with everything in terms of administration. But is there someone calling?
Yeah.
All right. hold that
Can't
thought.
do. They try to do a video.
Okay, yeah. So, Roderick, there's a WhatsApp and an email support at the bottom of the website. Send the message, and we will definitely let them know, and they will look into it for you. So, anyone else who has any issues with DS4S Academy, use the support at the bottom, right? We've got another caller. So, caller, Rahubat, what's your name? Where you calling from, and what's your question, please? Caller, you there? Rahubat. We lost. Yeah, so yeah, use the support. I know sometimes it may take a while for you to get a resolution, but it will get addressed. All right, we're definitely going to look into that for you. What do you believe? Rahubat Gloria from Baltimore. Oh, we got a caller coming back. Rahubat, greetings, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from, and what's your question, please?
Hello.
Rahubat. We've lost you. We can't hear you if you're speaking.
Hello, Robert Pastor. It's a little hard to hear you.
Your line is terrible. I can't hear you. You're really choppy. Maybe
Yes, sir. Let me see what I can do about that.
maybe you can leave a voice mail. Send a voice.
I'm so sorry, you say.
Yeah. Send a voice note. Or send a text in the chat. Yeah, I was just saying, please use support. Okay, he's calling back. Yeah. All right. We'll have to allow that for now. Right. Jojo was saying, what do you believe the Most High's purpose for Trump? Jojo, you must be new to the channel. We don't believe. You've got to know. But when you say the Most High, again, that's a term we always clarify things. Maybe not for you, but for the purpose of everyone else that's listening. His job is to bring down and help us eradicate 6 ether forces. That's what he's doing. Because if you look at the chaos, the master told us many years ago that you see how the religious wars and everything are making people turn on each other, and that we just have to stay out of the way, so you can see for yourself. We've broken down before in the video called this year, what's it called again? Something this year, I think it was in 2020. Yeah, be prepared for this year. Watch that video and you will see, like, yeah, he's a representative of Nana, right? So, you have to just watch the actions and watch what's going on and see for yourself. And this is why we say you have to have your eyes open, the real eyes, so that you will realize. All right, we got the live caller again. Reyes Sananda, thanks for the donation. Rahubat caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? And what's your question, please?
I'm calling from Zambia. This is
Go ahead. I think you're getting choppy.
yeah.
Okay, that's better.
I saw you explained Genesis about God being a liar.
Yes.
What made you say God is a liar?
Because he told a lie. He said if they ate the fruit, they would die that day. But you won't see that unless you're reading the actual language itself. But people are reading English, even though it still said they would die if they touch it, if they ate the fruit. And then the serpent came along and said, did God tell you that if you ate it, you will die. And they said, yes. And he said, surely you will not die. And they ate it and they didn't die. So he told a lie.
No, don't.
You're very choppy.
That the state, it was a promise.
So, sorry?
Don't you think that the statement is a promise?
No, because
die.
this is what I was saying earlier on.
Good
Sorry,
die.
your line is very bad, but I heard, did I not think it was a promise? This is what I was saying earlier on about how people start to change and interpret it and speculate and say, don't you think it was a promise? It didn't say that. And the thing is,
one way we can, it was a promise. It's the way it was.
I can't hear what you're saying. So you're very choppy. I don't know. Your line is, it keeps breaking up. But this is what I'm saying.
Okay, can I
Go ahead.
I wanted to say, can I cut? It was raining, maybe it's network.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's see if we can hear you.
Okay. This where it put full.
No.
Nah, you're gonna type it
I'll
in the chat or leave a voicemail because we can't hear you. All right. But anyway, I think I kind of got the gist of what you're saying. First of all, this is what happens. We are caught up in these books and people just feel like they can't come out of them. So everything they try to justify or say about the book, but we're like, the book itself, I know it may be harsh for those who are not used to it. The book is not authentic. It's not actual facts, and it's a plagiarized book from the Sumerian tablets. We know who we are calling God. We know who the people are, or the beings that are walking and talking and saying these things. So we know that you're dealing with Baal, or when we say Baal, we're dealing with Enlil. You see? So when you're using the names, you don't realize that you're talking about these Anunnaki or the sons of Anu, like Enlil and Enki predominantly. And that's why one will tell you one thing to do, and then in another verse, another chapter, the same things, the other one will say, don't do it. So unless you know these facts, you're not going to know why we're saying that God lies, because there's many instances in the Bible that you're calling these extraterrestrials God, but they're not. They don't know things. They're asking questions and saying, who told you you were naked? Why are you hiding? Why? They're supposed to know if they're all knowing. But we're not going to spend too much time on that. But clearly, all right, is it calling back?
This one's cool, yeah.
All right, let's go for it.
I just wanted to know if some stars are portals.
We answered that.
Because when I was a child, I had this experience. It was almost real. I don't know if it's real or it was in my head, but I was like, I went through a Stargate portal in my house, in the corner of my house. And when I went through, I came through another dimension. It was like a cartoon like, but it was like a cartoon like in Dr. Malachi's book. Like I saw a guy standing cloaked in white with an afro. And he was standing in front of another portal. And he was watching my neighbor on her bed and she was reading her books. But I'm telling you, I was a child and she was a child too. And it was like I could read her mind when I was in the portal, and I asked him, why is she thinking about rape? And he said, go back and later in life I'll find out. Can you give me some explanation to that? Because I believe it's the watchers that are trying to tell me something about maybe my neighbor could be my soulmate or something. I'm not even sure, but because I had other visions of seeing the same guy in my head with an afro. He was flying in the sky in white with an afro, like he took off on the pyramids.
Okay, Wawe. So obviously we always say personal experiences are personal experiences, but you did ask some direct questions about portals. Portals are real, and you can term them gateways, and that's why they made movies and series like Stargate to show you that there are gates. Even if you watch the Doctor Strange. There are many movies that are showing you now about stargates, and they make it into entertainment, but they know about these portals. Even CERN have been opening portals, because when I said before space time, you have a fabric, if you like, that stitches different dimensions and different places together in terms of when you open these portholes or these portals or these gateways, wormholes. There are many, many different terms that people use. Even when you talk about black holes, right? The black holes are like the rims of, say, two universes coming together and rubbing. One is spinning in one direction, and they will lead you or throw you off into different different dimensions and different places in space, matter, and time. So, yeah, portals are real, and this is something we've been taught. There's an actual fact that we have called Pargatut, which is called a Stargate. Get hold of that, and that will give you more information. Got another caller, voice note. Go for it. There are lots
This
of
is Maria
questions.
again, from Trinidad and Tobago, with another question. I have a family member who is a lawbreaker, and he chooses to continue in his disagreeable ways that are plain evil, injurious, and life threatening to family members that must interact with him due to circumstances. By me practicing Wu-Sabat, and so far, I'm the only person in my family who is doing so. Can I make him go away or dub down his influence on others in order to protect the other members of my family? Basically, I guess I'm asking, how can I practice Wu-Sabat to negate his disagreeableness? Thank you.
Tua, yeah, yes, you can. You have to. I don't know if you're practicing the rituals, but and that's a very important question, because some problems or some issues that we have, we may not be able to deal with it ourselves, and we have to then reach out and speak to our ancestors, our salafu, right? This is why we have certain rituals that we can invoke their help, and also the Natharu's help. But we do it through our family first. So there are rituals that we can utilize to ask for guidance and ask for assistance from our Salafu or ancestors on the other side. So yes, there are many things you can do. We have scrolls that you should also read that deal with, you like dealing with the personalities, like the 30 spirits. Someone else on? Okay. So we ask people, I don't know if you go to classes or if you're in any of the online classes, join our Telegram group and we'll be able to give you more information. But certainly, yes, you can. That's the whole point of you changing. You can change vibrations and change frequencies and change things to be of a better outcome for you. Sometimes the answer might not come in the way that we may think it, but yeah, if you continue putting it into the realms of your ancestors, they will definitely help you. And obviously, we're not there to deal with your actual personal situation in terms of physically. So you may sometimes even have to change your entire environment. But yeah, we'll talk about that in the Telegram group with you more in terms of giving you more things to do, all right? Tawat.
Yes, Robot. I just want to say, thank you so much for allowing me to ask my questions.
No problem.
My question is, my first question. You were talking about eating wise, and I just want to know. Over the past few years, I've been slacking up on eating. Try not to eat no red meat. I stick mainly to, I would say, like shrimp, tuna, stuff like that. I eat plenty of fruits. I eat plenty of the vegetables. I take a lot of herbs. I just want to know if I'm off to the correct start. And also onto that, I'm aware that it was taught a long time ago to eat meat and cook meat. Was that something that I would say reptilians influenced us to do?
Tua, yes.
And my
So he's got 3 different questions.
Okay. Go ahead. Do you want me to answer that first?
Yeah.
Is he live?
No. Voice notes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you're on the right path because, like I was saying, you got to wean yourself off from like you said, the red meat, but that definitely is a reptilian influence in our nature to appeal to that side. And people do go from not eating red meat, as I said before, to maybe seafood and just white meat, and then they eventually stop altogether. Like I said, yeah, doing it suddenly can sometimes be, it's like if you do something prematurely, you haven't really burnt out that desire. So you will relapse a lot, but you have to do it in a way that when you stop, it's not going to be. But then again, you have to study about your personalities because the different personalities within you are the ones that are maybe one of your ancestors may be craving that meat. You see, so this is charged now. Maybe craving that meat. So they're the ones that are influencing you, and you hear the voices in your head that are telling you constantly to, eat meat. So even though you may not have eaten meat for a very long time, you may just pass a place one day and they may be barbecuing or something, and that the smell can still reach one of your ancestors in your personality, and they will rise up and they may want the meat. So you have that struggle. Okay, go ahead. We have another caller. Okay, so what's the let's carry on with the second question of the brother.
and I have one more question, if it's okay as well. I'm aware that from now to 2030 and 2045, there's going to be a reset. There's going to be many, I would say, turn of events that are taking place over these next few years. But I just want to know from me, I've been trying to do my inner work. I've been trying to get canned goods, waters. I just want to know, is there anything I should specifically try to do to prepare myself for all the things that are to come?
Yeah, Tua. I mean,
And I just want to say it is absolute pleasure and honor to be able to ask my questions to you all. And yeah, just want to say that. And also a shook and a shade. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not about you preparing by yourself. This is why we keep talking about coming together in communities. I don't know if you've ever watched the zombie apocalypse, but as an individual, the zombies find out that let's say you stacked your own supplies, you have your waters, you have everything, but you're on your own. And they get to know that you have all that supply. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to come for it, and you're going to be on your own. Even if you must have seen the movies. So the master teacher, look, this book here, this is called The Year 2000 and What to Expect. So even before the year 2000, he was preparing us and telling us what we need to do. But our problem, as we keep saying, is coming together and working together. So what I would say for you is to go to the nearest store or community of Nuwapian Sabians in your nearest vicinity and work with them. It's not about an individual thing, it's about working together. But certainly we have, guidelines in terms of preparation, and a lot of people are not taking it seriously. But, even with just like the pandemic that we experienced, you saw how people were going frantic over something as simple as toilet paper, So, yeah, preparing by yourself is great, but doing it together in a community, you have to get together and do things, jointly. So, was there a second part of that question? I think that was it. So, come closer to us. We always say that, and join our Telegram group. But yeah, obviously, Rahubat, Zamal. Rahubat. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's your question?
I'm Jean-Pierre. I'm calling from Antigua.
Oh, Antigua. Okay, Rahubat. Go ahead, Zamal.
Yeah. Ever since I was a child, I've noticed I've had spiritual dreams. Like, I went through a portal one time and I saw my neighbor on the other side of a portal. And there was a guy standing in front of the portal in clothed in white, just like in Dr. York books. And he had an afro, but he was as serious as a Ezekiel. And when I was also cloaked in camouflage when I went through the portal, like in army suit, as a child. And I was reading my neighbor's mind in the portal, and the guardian was watching her in white. And I asked her, why was she thinking about rape? And he said, go back and later in life, I will find out. Ever since that, I've been puzzled to know what was he talking about and why was she thinking about rape. And ever since I booked up on Dr. York books in 2013, when someone brought the book to me, I saw myself looking like Horus also. In the year 2000, the book, the new millennium, the year 2000 and what's to come. So I want to know, what was that guy talking about? Go back in life and later I'll find out. Because he knew exactly like those Ezekiels in Dr. York book. And I know a few people that has Dr. York books in Antigua, but we don't have a lodge here, and I wish we would have a lodge here.
Right, Tua. So, many people have spiritual experiences. This is what we're saying, that from the time the seventh seal got broken in 1970, I'm
born in 99, so I'm like a golden baby.
What it?
1919.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying that.
I'm a little person.
Yeah, I'm saying many people have had experiences and have met him in terms of him in their dreams, have had experiences.
Thanks for reminding me. I have something else to say, but continue.
Okay, so I'm saying he's met many people. There are people that we've met that have had dreams or seen him, and then, including myself, I've had many experiences. And then when you turn a book or you come into the doctrine or you come into the community and you look and read and you relate to those things. So he has.
I saw him before I saw the books, and I didn't know what was going. But I'm also, before him, I know about reptilians, but I don't want to get into them.
Yeah, I was just going to say that personal experiences are signs for you, or like things for you to know who he is, who you are, and what to do. in order to get closer to him?
You know who I know who I am because when I was a child, I used to read my Bible, my grandmother's Bible, right? And I just want to reveal this to all new audience. I could be Tahaka and nobody even knows. Because I read my Bible and I also met my twin flame and she showed me a monument of me in Italy. And that was some underground stuff.
Right. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like, this stuff is real for those who actually.
It's really real. I used to think, I even seen a fluid. Those fluid ghosts, it came on my uncle.
Right.
You know, I didn't even think that was real until I saw it. And then I saw a shame. I saw a Nibiru, man, a guy that has Dr. York books.
Yeah.
We saw the two sons.
Right. Listen, what I'm saying is, because of time, that's why we encourage people to come to classes or go to communities or join our Telegram.
Large here in Antigua. There's one in Barbados and Trinidad, but we need large here in Antigua.
I know what I'm saying.
Because there's an evil lodge here. The Queen's Lodge is here. That's what.
Right. What I'm saying, you have to work your way into being in the right place so that if you want to be, as you say, in the lodge, there's things that you have to do to be able to be in that position. So I'm saying that personal experiences, sometimes we can spend a lot of time going through them, but they're really for you and for you to get certain messages so that you can actually follow the path to get to where you need to get to. And everyone will have different experiences and different messages for them. And then we have to come together collectively and seek out the spiritual master who's going to teach and show you things and explain them properly.
Dr. York picked me up in a spaceship, and he had me in a spaceship.
Right, brother. We've got many questions to try and get through. So unfortunately, we can't go through all your experiences. But I'm saying to you, the best thing for you to do is come closer and stay with us so that we can work out how we can get because, like you say, you asking certain questions, but you have to be able to come close so we can give you the answers for those. All right. But I have to move on because I've got so many questions that I have to get through. Tell what?
A voice note.
Gosh, there's so many
I'm
questions.
saying, in the way the statement or in the way God said, you will surely die. That was like a promise. So I'm not speculating, but linguistics, the study of linguistics makes me know to say that was a promise to say you will be dying.
No.
So from Genesis to Revelation, I've never seen any record where God said something and it did not come to pass. Everything that God said did come to pass.
Okay, that's your belief, but we know factually that that's not true, and we haven't got time to go through. We've got a whole series of books that are called the God series that address and deal with everything that you're talking about. But the thing is, you're being caught in the trap of the Sumerian books, right, that have become what you're calling the Bible today. And if you read the original, you're going to find that a lot of what is being said in the English is not accurate. It's misinterpretation. So we have a series of books called God Misinterpreted, Whose God is Responsible, Does God Help His Own? You know, we have a whole series by the master teacher that addresses the God series. And, you know, I think if you're sincere in searching for the truth, then you need to start reading some of those scrolls. But we have classes, as you know, regularly where you can come on and we will be able to go through and answer your questions for you. All right, but I'm definitely going to go through some of the questions I've been waiting for a long time. And those who are in the chat, that's the way you jump the queue. You have to call in or leave a voice message because they do take priority over the chat. Right, I was gonna, we covered that already. In the middle of an audit, but staying plugged in, peace and love and unity. Rahabat, OSM with sub religion. Okay, we'll cover that. Cover that. Cover that. How do I say thank you? Oh yeah, Reye Sananda, thanks again for your donation. Much appreciate, love. It says, should we spend, right, this is A online, should one spend time, attention, sharing Wu-Sabat with others? Absolutely, 100%. That's why we're here. Each one teach one. Each one reach one and each one teach one. Spread the good news. How do I say thank you in the language? That's from A09 as well. So it depends who you're speaking to. If you're speaking to a male, you would say tawu tak, right? Because the tak denotes male. And if it was a female, you say tawu tat. That's thank you. If you were just saying thanks, you say tawuat. Yeah, so it depends on who you're speaking to, but yeah, that's how you would say it. But check out the language course. And you know, we have language groups that teach the language. The language course is very structured and it takes you from the beginning to the end in learning how to speak, read and write Miss Batia in 6 months if you're studious and dedicated and follow the work and do all the exercises and all the quizzes and you utilize it to speak and, you know, use it every day. Which race was Yakub from? That's from Grace. Yakub was a product of the Donakil and the Teros. Yeah, these are species of extraterrestrials. So the combination of Yakub, of the Teros and the Donakil produced Yakub. You can find more information in the scroll called Shambhala and Agatha and other scrolls, Mission Earth and the extraterrestrial involvement. Those are some of the scrolls you can look into, all right? Yeah, Roderick, I did answer your question in terms of your order. Send a WhatsApp message or an email quoting your order number. Okay, go ahead, Jamal.
So my name is Steven, and I had many questions, but one of the questions that I had pertaining to leadership.
That's someone else.
Oh.
In a marriage, so in the patriarchal, I guess, world we live in, it is deemed a man should be leading the household or the family. It doesn't seem like that with Wu-Sabat, and I wanted to get your insight on if leadership is shared equally, or if it is named on the male or the female figure of the family. Thank you.
Tua, Rahbat. Okay, so the reality is when you say the name, like we say Adam and Eve, but the real names like would be Zakar, depending on the language, of course, Wu-Nuwapu. And Nukebu or Nukeba was the female who people call Eve, right? Her name means tribal leader. So when you're saying who should lead, the male or the female, originally is really the female because the female comes first and men and women come from the females. So when you use the word tribal leader, that was her job to lead. And when you look at the mitochondrial DNA, it's passed from the female to the female for generations. And so, yes, the female should be leading, but what happened is religion turned it back to front and made it a patriarchal system, as you know. And in ancient times, we ruled together in harmony. So really it's the matriarch that should be ruling, and that's where we are now. But the thing about this whole thing about leadership and ruling, we don't just like mean like, oh, she's going to say anything she says to you, you're just going to be like just following blindly, because we have to work together. That's why the master teacher has put out the Gospel of Yanun on the Sacred Feminine, which is a scroll, actual fact, that we all have to read, both male and females, so that we learn that it's a working together, left and right brain, because you need each other. It's like you become one. This is why when he says the man will leave and cling onto his wife, right? Again, the Bible turns everything back to front to have man rulership and suppress the woman. So it's about becoming one, yeah? So it's not about one dominating or overpowering or ruling over the other. Obviously, naturally, in terms of your physical composition, you're dealing with testosterone, and you're dealing with the fact that a man has developed in a particular way to have, like, I'm not saying female, there's some females that are also very strong, but I'm saying that a man is good at what a man does, or better than a woman at what he does in his nature, and a woman's better than a man at what she does in her nature. But when you bring them together as one, it's balanced and they work together. So you always see in ancient time the pharaohs, or it was male and female working together. So that's what we've got to get back to. But it is really the female forces of natural nature that have come back around, like they say, as it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. So we have to allow the woman, because she's been suppressed for so long by the religious world, by the business world, by every facet of society, she's been suppressed. And now she's blossoming or coming back, because this is we're in the time where they are the female forces that have to rule now. But they're not going to rule in the same way that the patriarch or the male dominant society has been ruling. They're more just in terms of they are the nurturers. They grow male and female, boys and girls, and they should be running the household. But if you look at the societies that we live in now, most of the other races, they will give their woman that opportunity to run the household, to be the nurturer. And there's a deeper meaning to it as well, because a lot of the men in the Negroid family, particularly, because of the kidnapping that people call slavery, in terms of the slave trade, the man's he was really stripped off of everything. So even in the societies, like, a lot of the times you find more of the Nagaru males in the criminal justice system, because they're targeted. And so you have a lot of single families which are run by women, and some of the men, they feel that they don't have the same opportunities, or they're subjugated. So sometimes they take out that frustration on subduing or suppressing the woman, and they've got that mentality that's come from the religious mindset. This is what Wu-Sabat is teaching us to break away from, so that we can work as one. But you have to find and be with the right person, so that you're actually working in harmony. Sometimes there are clashes and it doesn't work. But if you study Wu-Sabat, study what the master's teaching us, who is God, male or female, that's another actual fact that you should read, as well as I said, the Gospel of Yanun on the Sacred Feminine, the Lotus of Life, those scrolls, as well as many other patraks that we have, like sexual violations of wu-nuwapu. You know, these are things we have, the 33 commandments of the Sabian, and many books and scrolls that help you to learn to know your place in the union. All right. Okay. Robert Zuma.
On one of the videos, you mentioned that our DNA was turned off, which made us forget all about who we are and where we come from. And you mentioned that it was turned off during the lunar cycle. Who turned it off? And the second part is if was Panatal aware? And if they were aware, was it kind of like a deal, like when Nibiru destroyed one of the planets of some extraterrestrial beings, and to kind of fix that, they gave them this ability to rule.
It's very quiet, just about.
And he's playing the video in the back as well at the same time.
Okay. I think I heard the first part was about the barythroid gland.
On one of the videos, you mentioned that our DNA was turned off.
Our DNA was turned off.
Us forget all about who we are.
Which made us forget who we are.
And where we come from. And you mentioned that it was turned off during the lunar cycle.
Turned off during the lunar cycle.
Who turned it off? And the second part is...
Who turned it off?
Right, and then the second part was...
if was Panatal...
Who was the Panatal?
Aware? And if they were aware, was it kind of like a deal, like...
Was it a deal?
When Nibiru destroyed...
Okay, that's the bit I wanted to hear.
One of the planets of some extraterrestrial beings.
When Nibiru destroyed the planet from the extraterrestrial beings.
And to kind of fix that, they gave them...
Okay, I think I got the gist of it. The last part is it's easier because he's talking about, so when the crash of Nibiru took place, the planet got tilted, and from its original, I think it was 45-degree angle to a 23, I think it's 23 and something, 23.5 degrees. So a lot of the people on the planet became more right-handed because the shift in the axis shifted, and so most people on the planet are right-handed, where before that, when it was balanced, we were ambidextrous, meaning we could use both sides of our bodies equally. So now you look at people, if you were to use a symmetry in the middle, you see that one side is more developed than the other side, so one of your eyes is going to be slightly smaller. You got more kind of agility and strength from one side to the other, and when we stop, a lot of the times people will lean and lean to the right. So that's dealing with the Nibiru. But in terms of the barythroid gland, it's something that happened and it affected us because over the generations, because it happened with our ancestors. So you're talking about when the barythroid gland was surgically removed, because we were, for lack of a better word, no longer allowed to have direct random access to the higher beings, because we basically violated and fell from grace. And so now we had to work our way back. When you read it, the way the master, it was taught to us, was during the time we were going through the schools of the Sumerians, and it was explaining that, these Anunnaki, in terms of the laboratories where this was done. So some of this was done on what they call shimti, and some of it was done on on Mars, and before coming down to the planet. And then you had people like Rishkigal that were doing it in the underworld. So it was, at the time, we were being taught like it was the Natharu, because when you start to look at these beings that we call the Anunnaki, some of them were also, we'd refer to them as the Natharu, the Elohim, or these higher beings. So yeah, it was something that over time, it's like if you removed, and this ties into what we're dealing with now, like quantum entanglement and epigenetics. So if you took something from, let's say, you now, with even in the man from Planet Riskboard, there's an example where, let's say you broke your leg or your arm, the offspring that come from you after that, they may not also, even though they haven't broken their arm, the part where you did will be weaker in the generations going forward. So this is why we are learning. Wu-Sabat is teaching us how to transform ourselves back to the point where we're going to receive that gland again, which will be reinserted or activated by way of putting it in the submental region. The sub is under your chin, that interacts with your mental. So it is a surgical operation that will have to be done. And when we say operation, sometimes we think in the sense of how you go to the hospital now and have an operation, but these beings are very advanced, so they can operate on you using, let's say, laser technology, because your body is porous, so they can actually go through the pores and do things and not have to cut you. Yeah, or they have technology where they don't have to cut you like here, where they surgically have to cut you to carry out an operation. So they can actually do this using higher technology. And the masters taught us that, you know, those who are ready or prepared to get their barotheric gland will be taken to Antarctic, and then there are beings that will carry out this surgically. So some will be taken up and then receive it. So yeah, that's still a lot of information that is still evolving, and the master is going to expound on it. If you if you watch and listen to a video on YouTube called The Journey, yeah, the master goes into explaining a bit more about the barotheric glands when he went on the craft, and how, you know, those will be ready to be given to those that are worthy. All right. I'm not gonna. I might as well just not.
Question from TikTok.
All right, go on, because there's so many questions I keep trying to get to.
This will be the last one, and then.
All right, go on then. Go on then.
What books can we read to gain more knowledge on the mirror technique?
The mirror technique. Okay, so that was something that was shared with us when we were going through the various spiritual orders, right? So the ancient Egyptian order, right? There were degrees that you had to study to go through, and also even in the Sons of the Green Light, the ancient and mystic order of Melchizedek. So these became available later on that you could probably get hold of now. So those are the ones. But we also get information that you don't find in books. We keep saying that we may have an update that goes into detail. Some updates do eventually get added into books, some never do. And there are orders and spiritual aspects of our doctrine that our community, for those who are in those orders, they will get that information. So we keep saying to people, work your way so that you can get close, so that you can be involved or get work your way into some of these orders so that you be privileged to receive sacred information that's not going to be shared to everyone publicly. You know, you hear the phrase, you can't take pearls and throw them to, you know, swine, and, you know, many are called, few are chosen. All of these types of statements are relating to the fact that if you're really serious and you're really about working and getting close to the master teacher, then you will take the right steps to do so. All right? Okay, let me get through some questions. All right, let me go here because thanks, Tawwa. I appreciate that. Nakuk Soror Pafef.
That was just a different thank yous I've given them.
Okay. Yeah, somebody was saying about, where is it? Yeah, here you go. Tammy. Let me see, before that. Rahubat, water breaks in when a woman is about to give birth. This is event, anyways, related to the event when, okay. They're going into something else. Right, I'll go to Tammy because the question, can I ask something genuinely? How do we tell the difference between exploration and delusion? Great question. That's the first part. We have a scroll called Reflection and Projection. It's a great question because there are people who project, you know, the images that they've stored in their mind throughout their life, whether it's from movies or films or just books they've read, you know, going to church or many, or the, you know, synagogues, or even the going to the mosques and things like that. So people do store images and, like I said, films, and they project these out. So when you say, especially when people start speaking with certainty about things they can't actually verify, this is something I think about a lot. And it's a great question. Curiosity is healthy, but certainty without knowing can be dangerous. When people speak about things they haven't actually experienced or verified as fact, others can internalize that information as truth. That's often how delusion spreads, not because people are crazy, but because humans trust confidence more than uncertainty. That's right. And that's why that scroll, Projection and Reflection, we'll try and find it and post it, because it gets you even the mind's eye. We have a part of that called the mind's eye that goes into exactly what you say. And this is why sometimes when people are sharing and telling us their experience, because we can't verify and prove that, you know, unless we were there as well, experiencing the same thing, we keep saying to them, look, we're not saying you didn't experience this, but that's your experience. So there is a difference or a realm of borderline between people projecting and reflecting what they've stored in their subconscious mind and in their mind's eye, and they can actually make it real to them. But there are people who have real experiences, and when you've had an experience, no one can really tell you that you haven't had that experience. So we stay away. We don't do the whole thing where people start saying, oh, yeah, I can interpret your dream and tell you this. And before you know it, you know, you're getting into a situation where you're relying on somebody else. And this is where it's very dangerous. So we always say to people, we cannot tell you about your personal experience because that was for you. But there are things that you experience that's why we say evidence, reason, and experience. These are tests you can use to verify information. And just because you may not have experienced something doesn't mean that the person that is saying they have is not telling the truth, but it's their experience. But the reality comes in when you start to say, you might say, I experienced this. Somebody else will say, I experienced it too. and then you go around the world and worldwide, and lots of people are having that same experience. Like, for example, abductions by extraterrestrials. Now, when you get overwhelming evidence to the point where they're like so many cases across borderlines, across countries, across races, and across different religions, across, you know, such a wide spectrum of evidence, then it's no longer going to be just something that that person is delusional, because that's what used to happen. They used to say you're crazy or you're cuckoo. Like, if you spoke about aliens, they would say, oh yeah, he believes in little green men, and joke it out, make it, and ridicule you. And people that, even in Roswell, when like the crash happened and they actually saw it, then over time you start to look at the evidence and how the cover up and the same stories, and then you put people into hypnotic regression and they describe and draw out the same thing. You know, it's like when they're trying to solve a crime and they're trying to get, you know, a picture of the person they're looking for. Artists can sit down and, as you're describing and explaining, and they draw it, and it gets to a point, they show you the picture and you're like, yeah, that's the person. They circulate it, and then they apprehend and find the person. So there are circumstances and certain situations where, yeah, it's definitely evidence-based. But yeah, get the scroll, projection and reflection. And to add to that, you're right when people are reflecting, because if someone says, I had this experience and I saw this being, like let's say Jesus, Christians will always see or describe what they've been taught all their life. Like, you know, someone that looks like that image of Jesus that has been pushed, whether it's the blonde hair, you know, blue eyes with a white robe. And if it was a Muslim, they're going to have something that relates to what they've seen, you know, either Muhammad or someone came to them that looks like what they've been programmed with all their life. And it's going to be the same in different cultures and different races. So you know that is based on, yeah, programming and the storing of these images. All right. Great question, Tammy. Okay, so reptilian is the survival mode of the brain. Okay, that's not a question, but yeah, it relates, because when you're a sperm and that's why they say survival of the fittest. In that race to get to the ovum, it's kind of like, yeah, the race of your life. And that reptilian nature is like the first instincts of survival, you know, got to get there first. And you're here because you won that race. So yes, you're right in that sense. And your adrenaline, and when you're in a situation, it kicks in, which relates to that survival mode, because you're in a situation where you panic or you're scared, like when an entity appears and you feel the vibration of that entity, and that being, let's say, might be of a very high vibration, or like a being turns up and says, opens a portal and says, let's go, you know, and you're like now scared, because, or even when you're having an out of body experience and you're, you know, try to astral project or come out of your skin suit, people do get afraid, and that adrenaline kicks in, and then you wake up or you go back into your body or your skin suit. So yes, all the survival mode has been actually designed into you, so that if you're not ready, if you're not relaxed and calm enough to go with the flow and just understand that you can slide out of this physical skin suit. We do it naturally when we go to sleep anyway, where we think we're dreaming or asleep. Sometimes we do travel to different realms and different dimensions, and then we come back. A lot of the time we forget our experience. But when you practice and learn how to do it to a stage where you're not afraid, you learn to come out and come back in without fear. So yeah, that's true. Let me go through and see. Well, it's kind of stopped. There aren't that many on here now. Okay, let me go back over to this chat then. Remember to get your tickets for the event, Friendship Day, for the 14th of February. It's worldwide, so you can tune in and get the online ticket, or you can come physically. And if you're obviously here in London, in the UK, and greet and meet us, meet, the family. The tickets are going to sell fast, so please get yours now. The first 15 people are going to get a scroll for free. So scan the QR code and then, yeah. Dress to impress. No, let me, have you got? From YouTube. Okay, go on then. I'm going through them now as well.
What language is Wu-Sabat from, and where are you based?
Okay, so, well, the language is Miss Batia, and it's the original language that was brought to this planet and spoken on the planet first. And many people know it, but they didn't realize or know its origin. So if you go back and study languages and how they've evolved, and you say who was here first, who were the oldest people here, the majority of people are going to end up back in ancient Sumer, or go beyond that to what they call ancient Kemet, or Egypt, we know as Tamaray. Yeah? So the spoken language was also written. The scripts that were written are the hieroglyphics, which many people term the Metuneta, which is describing, they call it the language of the gods. And so cuneiform and hieroglyphics are the script of this original spoken language known as Nuwapic, Misbatia, Sabaic, and you have to do the research and go to the area of Meroe, dealing with Napata. And that's what evolved to become today where all the languages come from. They say Semitic languages, or we say Shem or Shemitic languages. So Arabic, Hebrew, Chinese, all of them come from it. And the language course we have online would walk you through everything from the start to now. It was brought down to this planet by our elders, the Natharu. It was spoken on other planets, such as Mars, and then it came down to this planet. The female were first given it, and they had to be designed and given the voice box so they can speak 54,000 years ago. Then the men spoke afterwards, all right? So that's our language. And you say, where are we based? We're based all over the world, but we here are based in London, Croydon. But go to UnitedSabiansWorldwide.com to find all the other locations around the world. Okay, go ahead. Caller, Rahubat.
Dre calling from the United States.
Rahubat,
South
again.
Carolina, to be specific.
Tour.
My question I was calling about was enslavement in Americas, and why did it last so long, like the 400 to 500 years? Was that because we were under the spell of the white magic and in the moon cycle, and the Palladians telling the other Caucasians or the Caucasoids that they created on what to do to keep us in bondment and at a lower level of thinking? And why didn't any of, like, let's say the elders intervene to help break us out earlier or give us insight earlier on how to, like, rise up through that enslavement? in the Americas during that time.
tour. So a lot of people mix up the four. It's actually 400 years, and they mix it up with the 430 years of what it says biblically about the so-called Israelites, right? But it was 400 years, and that was the last of the two major, what they call slave trade. We know kidnapping. So you had Prince Henry. So that would have been the one from the 1600s, because when you add 400 years to 1600, it comes up to the year 2000, where the spell will be broken. So you were right that during the moon cycle of the last 6,000 years, from 4000 BC or 4004 BCE, that's when the spell was in full effect. And it was during the time where Six Ether was predominantly in rulership, because we, much like today, we don't actually, like, we've got somebody here right now who is teaching us and saying, you've been lied to, you're under the spell, you need to come out of it. And people still don't change. They still want to be in slavery, even though we are in the sun cycle as of the year 2000. So it's the same thing. Every time we say we want the help, we ask for the help, we want the assistance, and then one is sent to come and guide and teach and say to you, this is what you should do. And a lot of people still turn their back. They still want to be in the books of religion, and they still want to be under the spell of Six Ether. So it's down to us. During the moon cycle, Six Ether is there, but Nine Ether is also there, but it's whether you choose to exercise that or not. It's like during the winter, if you're not a winter person, if you don't like the cold, you're not at your optimum, you're not at your best. So if you're a sun person, you prefer the summertime. But it doesn't mean that you don't function during winter. You find ways, like, how to keep yourself warm. And so there are other people who prefer and love the cold. And so I'm saying is that, yeah, the Palladians, the overlords of the Adamites, were still helping them. But as of the year 2000, that was the time allotted to them. Once that expired, the overlords left. Their overlords left, and now we're kind of like, the truth and everything started to become much, much more available to everyone, and people are more conscious now, and things are being exposed every day. So yeah, that's what happened. And I remember, and I've said this a few times, that's where the controversial thing that Kanye West was saying, that slavery was a choice, and people didn't like that. And I think that was unfair to say that during the times when you were being kidnapped. But today, where there's so much information and we have one amongst us that is telling you the truth, and you yourself can liberate yourself by what you do. We're living in the information age. You don't really have any excuse not to research and find out things and know, because it's all available. So now I would say it's a choice, because you choose whether or not you want to liberate yourself by reading and knowing the truth. They tell you the truth shall make you free. So if you don't want to live by truth, you're choosing to stay in slavery, mental slavery. So yeah, you know, that's the answer for that one.
Okay. Oh, one more question. Final thing is related to that. In our DNA, I know we're so mixed in, and due to the enslavement, a lot of these other extraterrestrials and beings are in our DNA due to rape and stuff like that. But I know how you said we have 30 ancestors that reside within us and through our DNA and our conscious. But sometimes, let's say, like, when it involves like enslavement and all the stuff that's been done to us, sometimes I get a certain feeling of like I want justice, retribution, or like you get a little angry feeling sometimes of everything that was done to like our ancestors.
Yeah.
Is that because of how my ancestors were feeling at the time, what they've been going through, and it's living through me at the same time? And then they're using me to, I guess, make a way for them to make a better future for the ones to come.
Yeah, this is important because, like you say, they're within your DNA, and sometimes when you, because the memories are stored also in your cells, and that feeling, they used to do this to do social experiments where, where they'll put certain movies on from time to time, like, Roots, or even, is it 12 Years of Slavery? Yeah, these movies are done to the point where your DNA and your ancestors are going to remember these things because they put them in media, visual, and yes, it can activate those DNAs, but you have to learn to control it because that can make you go out and do something. And this is what they will test to see, like, are you gonna revenge or go out there but that brings your nature down because you're now going down to your lower nature and acting and behaving in a way. So it's all about suppressing in a sense of being able to discipline yourself to rise above that. But yes, that's why when people go to say, to like to Ghana, to the coast, to go to the where they will say, I can't remember the exact phrase, the gate of no return. Like they will go to that, and literally their ancestors will speak to them, and they will feel within their DNA and their whole body, like, and you can be overwhelmed and cry, and you can just literally, even when you watch certain movies that, like I said, the couple I gave, and from time to time they will keep putting these out so that they remind you, and that then instills the fear to the point where it's now dealing with what we call epigenetics, where you're still connected to your ancestors who may have experienced that horrific incident, so. But the thing is, like I said, you have to learn. This Wu-Sabat teaches you how to overcome all of these, because then you don't want to bring yourself back to the lower vibrations, and just keeps you in that fear. And a lot of people don't realize, like, they don't look at certain Caucasians when they speak to them. They can't look at them in the eye because the DNA is like before, and it was like, look, you don't look down, and they still speak to people in a certain way, and they just fold and go down and forget, like, this is part of the DNA. So you reprogram yourself by remembering who you are, not what you have accepted. And that's another actual fact that we have. So you can know that you can subdue those ancestors within you that may give you those emotions, and those emotions can lead you to a point where some doctrines were like, by any means necessary, but if you follow that path, you just get to a situation where there's just more bloodshed. And if you go the other way, to the other extreme, where it was like, let's all come together and kumbaya. I'm giving you references to Malcolm X and to Martin Luther King, both ways. Whether you were going the path of, like, let me, by all means necessary, any means necessary, you're gonna end up in the same way, and you're dealing with a being of that nature. And if you go the other way, it still didn't work out. So it's all about, now Wu-Sabat is here to kind of teach you the right way and what to do. So did that help?
Yes, it did. That answered the questions.
Thank
you.
You're welcome. All right. Do you have any more questions from the? Yeah. Okay. Wow, it's 21:21. I got 21 to go.
I gave you a voice note, yeah.
Yeah, as I was gonna say that, I thought,
Another
are we gonna be
question.
breaking any?
In religion, whether it's Christianity or Islam, at least to my knowledge, repentance is something that they often ask you for. So, Wu-Sabat, should one repent at all, or if they do, how is this done?
Should one repent as in religion? There's a scroll the master put out called Breaking the Spell on Blacks, which explains that, okay, so there's definitely introspection and reflection, and you constantly trying to eradicate your disagreeable habits and certain desires that you have that you need to burn out. So in that sense, you're doing it to yourself, not to anyone. You're not going to someone to say, forgive me for blah, 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 because you can't really forgive anyone, because in that scroll, it talks about like natural nature is going to do and take care of things that people do, because you're dealing with the laws of cause and effect, right? That's why that scroll, this scroll right here, the Sacred Wisdom of Tahuti, is so important, because the doctrines that it teaches you about, like, the mental, like dealing with cause and effect, means that if somebody does something, that action is going to have an opposite and equal reaction. So whether you say to somebody, I'm sorry, what is going to be done by natural nature is still going to happen. So all you're doing is transferring the guilt temporarily when you're saying, I forgive, because the words is not going to change the outcome based on cause and effect. You see, so to bring that to a practical way, you have the Adamites who have had 6,000 years to see if they can be forgiven, right? This was the test, to monitor and study and see if they could be transformed and if their nature could change. And throughout that 6,000 years, there were sent many warners to try and reform and bring, like, even if you look at like the Mormons, was sent Joseph Smith, and that was their last chance. But every time they had someone, they rejected them. And if you look at today, you can go on the TV today, you see that the same things are still being done in terms of the wars, the unaliving, it's just chaos. And so they were, even though they were given this 6,000 years, the elders were like, let's have a fail-safe mechanism programmed in just in case they don't reform. And that's why when you go to like the books, the Quran, it says that they have been judged. The guilty blue eye have been judged, right? Dealing with these Adamites, the Nordics, by way of these Pleiadians. So at the end of their chromosomes, they put telomeres that were like, okay, after the 6,000 years, which ended in the year 2000 AD, if they're still doing the same thing, we are going to just remove them and they're going to fade out. And that's why you see that what's going on today, they're still fighting. And they have been like, they can't have the fertility rate, so they can't even reproduce anymore and have offspring to continue. They've reached what is termed extinction. Everything we're saying, don't believe us, check it out, do your research. Just research fertility rate and what it means when it reaches a certain point by what scientists explain. And then there are other things like, pandemics and tsunamis and many things that are being utilized to, yeah, basically bring them to extinction. So you can't really, you can only repent in the sense of you improving yourself by way of what you do, utilizing Wu-Sabat and the teachings to basically clean yourself inside out, treat people the way you'd like to be treated, be mindful, share ashuk, divine love, unconditional love, work with people that are trying to basically do the right thing. So you can only really repent to yourself. All right? Tua, go ahead.
Rahul Batsaken and all the OSM team. This is Simon from London.
Rahul Bat.
Just one quick question. Can you give us or run through the is it the 9 mental diseases by any chance?
Absolutely, I will. Let me just look them up. I'll see if I can find it quickly. But yeah, is that the end of the question? Okay. I'll go off the top of my head as I'm looking for them to give you. I don't want to give you the wrong one, but anger is one of them. Lust, gluttony. Sorry, 1 second. Let me just find them properly because it's in our book. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, let me just find it in here. Yeah, if you haven't got our book already, this book is very informative, and it has it's like a nice little reference book, very impactful, gives you a lot of information. Bear with me whilst I look through it. Yeah, no worries. I don't think it's too far. I think it's in the spiritual section. Yeah, here we go. Right, found it. So for those who have the scroll, it's on page 57. Yeah. They are: number 1, ego; number 2, pride; number 3, jealousy; number 4, anger; number 5, greed; number 6, lies; number 7, lust; number 8, gluttony; and number 9, belief. See, so that's where a lot of people get stuck in the belief. I believe, I believe, I believe. So let me go through it one more time. 1, ego; 2, pride. They're not necessarily in this order. This is the order I put them in. 1, ego; 2, pride; 3, jealousy; 4, anger; 5, greed; 6, lies; 7, lust; 8, gluttony; 9, belief. Right? In fact, let me read that. I'll read that page 57. It's in the chapter called Spirituality, Soul and Spirit. Regardless of whether you accept the previous assertion or not. Okay, let me read that before, because when we said the previous, you have to know what we're talking about. The reincarnation of Tahuti, Thoth, Hermes, thrice times great, Atumre, as Sayyid Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi, Imam Isa, Malachi Ziyo, Rabboni Yeshua Ba al-Hadi, Amun Nebu Re Akhtar, Amnubi Reakta, Malachi Zadok, Melchizedek, Al-Khidir, the Imperial Grand Potentate, the Supreme Grand Hierophant, Al-Qubt, to name a few, right? Then it goes on. This is where it says, regardless of whether you accept the previous assertion or not, that you need to find a spiritual master, who just went through the many titles. The point is that a spiritual guide will help you fast track your spiritual and conscious journey. When it comes to matters of spirituality and consciousness, A sincere seeker of truth or diligent inquirer of truth should have no room for any of the following 9 mental diseases. 1. Ego. 2. Pride. 3. Jealousy. 4. Anger. 5. Greed. 6. Lies. 7. Lust. 8. Gluttony. And 9. Belief. The primary focus and objective should be your spiritual growth. It stands to reason that one should seek guidance from the most qualified teacher available to them at any given moment and should progressively look to advance their development. Spiritual masters have elevated beyond people, places, and things. Right, so I'm going to leave it there, but that's the scroll. Yeah. We've actually run out of time. I think we've answered every single question. You got one more, yeah? Okay, go ahead.
Wu-Sabat, Ken. My question is,
Rahbat.
are we in a simulation within simulation within simulation and so on? And the flower of life is like the code or a code to be able to tap into the simulation. And are we with AI now? Yeah, as they say, history repeats itself. Are we creating a simulation again? Are we at the beginning stages of recreating one? Do you know, just like in the Matrix, I would say. But yeah, that's one of my questions. Thank you.
Tour. I wouldn't say a simulation because a simulation is it's run by someone. Okay, so it's like a run through. I would say we're more in an illusion based system where you don't really know what reality is, and there's irrealities as well. So there are different realms. So assimilation is like, all right, have you ever seen those games that if, let's say, you want to learn to fly a plane, there's a simulation that you're using, and you sit down and you're trying to fly this plane, and the objective may be to take off, fly, and then land the plane. And so all the conditions and everything is set, and you may be given a scenario where the weather might be bad, or let's say one of the engines are going to fail and you've got to work through all of this. So a simulation is more like someone else is in control and programming that. It may seem like that when we look at like the fact that there are beings that are in control of certain aspects of your life, but you yourself have the ability to break that. So because you're also playing a part, you're like the anomaly then. So you're not being controlled because you yourself have the ability to change and come out or do something different. So you're not a part of that original programming. But it does seem that way because you're given choices, and it would seem like if you don't know that there are more choices outside of the choices that you're given, then you will operate like you're in a simulation, because multiple choice is no choice, because the person that's giving you the choices is controlling whatever you're going to choose. But when you realize that and you know that there's a puppet master, you can step outside of that. This is what Wu-Sabat does. Wu-Sabat will teach you things outside. This is why we call it out formation. Yeah, so you're coming from out, and then it's coming to you inside your head, inside the globe that you're in, inside wherever you are on the planet. But it's coming from outside of that. So the simulation would more than likely just be if you just focus on the in, like everything is inside, in formation, but we go outside and we call it out formation. So once you realize this, you're not bound by the matrix, if you like, or the simulation or the programming. You see, so a lot of times, if you come from an IT or computer programming background, you will know that code is still able to be changed in real time, and code is changed by the people that are programming it. But the programmers are outside of the program. But you're right in the sense of the different realms that we must interact with and can go to if we know how to break from the lower realms. So we're here to master this, the lowest realm, the physical realm, the material plane. But even though you're down here, you can still interact with your mental, which is another realm. If you have a soul, you can interact with the vibrations of the soul realm. And then if you're in tune and you have a spirit that's active, you interact with the spiritual realm. But ultimately, you can go all the way to 9 ether, which is 9 to the 9th power of 9. So this is all about programming you and to teach you by way of Pana Babyanun, the master teacher, who is in all of those realms and can go and back and forth freely. And now he's teaching us so we can escape the cycle of reincarnation, because you're here for a purpose. A lot of people don't get to find out what their purpose is. So yes, was there a second part to that? I definitely remember the part about repentance, but I don't recall. Is it the last part?
My question is, are we in a simulation within simulation within simulation and so on? And the flower of life,
the flower of life,
is like the code, or like a code to be able to tap into the simulation. And are we with AI now?
That was the AI part. Yeah. So yeah, the flower of life is a part of knowledge, but the real code is Wu-Sabat and the scrolls, all the information that you need, and some of it's already within you because it's already encoded in your DNA. You just have to unlock it. That's where the real code is. The code is in your DNA. And when I mentioned about the programming, this is what you're looking at. Like the 2 DNA strands are like like in computers, you're going to have the binary, the 0 and the 1. And then in the DNA, you're looking at, the AC, GT, which are put and programmed in different ways to unlock your DNA in many, many ways. So AI is extraterrestrial technology that AI is utilizing, again, as we're waking up and becoming more conscious. They're trying to confuse you even more with technology because they're trying to break the barrier between reality and irreality, so you don't know what's true or what's real, because as things are getting more and more exposed, because remember that even with HD TV, right, high definition, you could now see, and a lot of these entities, reptilians, are able to shapeshift. They're now not able to hold their cloak, and in certain circumstances they're getting revealed. Their voices change, and the videos that go around, they change. Their eyes are changing. Sometimes their skin is morphing. So with AI, you're now seeing things that they're making a mockery of it, where people are pulling off masks and showing themselves as, reptilians and all kinds of beings. And some people are like, oh, that's just AI. And this is an opportunity for some of these beings to come out. And you're just going to go, oh, that's AI. But they're slowly acclimatizing you to, when they do become, you know, like how before people used to think you talk about aliens, you were crazy. Now it's like it's becoming so obvious, but they're trying to utilize AI in a way that, of course, AI has its positive and its usefulness as well, but it's just like the calculator. When the calculator was introduced, many people will say, oh, it's very useful because we can now quickly just push a few buttons and get the answer. And then students were allowed to utilize these in their exams. But what happened is after a while, most young people don't do mental arithmetic anymore. So their brain is not being utilized. It's the same with AI. They're going to be able to utilize it to say, oh, you don't have to do all the work or the mundane stuff. And then what will happen is over time, you become completely reliant on AI and the robots that AI is being programmed into. And then they're worried that that's going to be the biggest threat to humanity because they're going to take over. You see, so yeah, it's extraterrestrial technology that you must control and master. Don't let it master and control you. Just like your smartphone or your calculator or any technology that is introduced, you have to be in control of it and not it in control of you. We've gone way over time today, but before we go, remember, get your tickets, yeah? Get your tickets so that we will see you, meet you, greet you, break bread, and socialize, all right, in celebration of Friendship Day. All right, Moisa, Tawukum, Wadu. Still on TikTok.